If you've been scrolling through endless pages of trolling motors, watching video after video of people bragging about the perfect setup, and still feel like you're stuck in a sea of hype, you're not alone. It's easy to get overwhelmed when every brand promises auto-deploy, GPS lock-on, and imaging that practically fishes for you. The truth is, the right motor for you depends on how you actually fish, not on the flashiest headline. In this review, I'll walk through what the Minn Kota Ulterra Freshwater bow mount actually does on the water, who will get the most bang for their buck, and who might be better off looking elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the core problem this motor tries to solve. Most freshwater anglers who use a bow mount motor are juggling a few things. They need enough thrust to move a 12-foot boat in windy conditions. They want precise control when they're drifting over a tight school, and they'd love a way to mark a spot without pulling out a separate handheld GPS. The Ulterra bundles all of that into one package. The real differentiator is the self-stow and deploy mechanism. Instead of wrestling with a crank handle every time you launch or retrieve, a single button pushes the motor up or down. In practice, that means you can pull up the shaft from the dock, hop in your boat, and have the motor already in position before you even start your first cast. Now imagine you're out on a calm lake early in the morning. You've got a line set up with a soft plastic wobbler, and you want to stay exactly where the fish are feeding. The Ulterra's iPilot Link GPS lets you record a path, then lock the motor onto that exact line with spot lock. I've seen anglers use it to park their boat over a submerged structure, let the current drift them a few feet, and then have the motor hold them steady while they reel in. The GPS isn't just a novelty, it removes the need for a separate handheld unit, which means fewer gadgets to lose in the water. For anyone who spends a lot of time holding a spot, that convenience translates directly into more time with the line in the water. The built-in Humminbird Mega Down Imaging Transducer is another piece of the puzzle. Down imaging gives you a real-time view of what's below the boat, showing fish silhouettes, weed lines, and drop-offs in a way that a simple depth finder can't. In a lake with tangled vegetation, that visual feed can be the difference between casting blindly and targeting a known depth where bass are hanging out. Because the transducer is integrated, you don't have to mount a separate fish finder on your bow. That saves you both money and space, and it keeps the wiring neat, an often overlooked hassle when you have multiple electronics. All of that sounds great, but there are trade-offs. The Ulterra's 60-inch shaft is long enough to clear most freshwater hulls, but it does add a bit of extra weight up front. On a lightweight 8-foot skiff, you'll notice a slightly higher bow-down attitude compared to a shorter, less powerful motor. That isn't a deal-breaker for most, but if your boat is already near its weight limit, you may feel a dip in fuel efficiency or have to adjust your ballast. The 80-pound thrust rating is generous for freshwater, perfect for breezy days or when you're pulling a heavy bait rig, but it's still a 24-volt system. If you're used to 12-volt setups, you'll need to make sure your battery bank can handle the extra voltage, which can mean a higher upfront cost for a compatible battery. Who should buy the Ulterra? If you're a serious freshwater angler who spends whole weekends on a mid-size boat, values precise spot holding, and already uses a GPS-compatible fish finder, this motor is a natural extension of your existing gear. The auto-stow feature alone pays for itself in the minutes saved each time you launch, especially if you fish in areas with lots of boat traffic where quick deployment is essential. The integrated transducer also makes sense if you've already invested in a Minn Kota or compatible display that can read the down imaging feed, otherwise you might end up paying for a feature you'll never use. Who should skip it? If you're a casual angler with a small inflatable that you paddle to a quiet pond, the added shaft length, GPS integration, and down imaging might be overkill. A simpler, lower thrust motor would likely cover your needs at a fraction of the price, and you could keep a separate, inexpensive handheld GPS for the occasional spot lock. Also, if you already have a separate high-end fish finder and a motor that you're happy with, the Ulterra's all-in-one promise may not add enough new value to justify swapping out a system that works. Let's talk durability. The Ulterra's housing is built to handle freshwater debris, twigs, algae, and the occasional stray hook. The motor's self-stow mechanism has a reputation for being smoother than the older crank-type designs. In practice,